welcome to Otys Couture. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing us on how to make simple A-line short dress with 3 steps puff sleeve. Before we continue, I want to say a very big thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you all. And if you're yet to subscribe, all you need to do is to click on the red button down below, and also remember to click on the notification bell after subscribing so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified. Without further ado, let's move right to the tutorial. Using this fabric for today's tutorial, the material is called crepe, and I have 2 yards of fabric. I've folded it into 4 because I'm cutting the front and the back bodies together. I'll be using this satin material for the sleeve. The measurement that I have is about 1.5 yards of fabric. So I'm going to put this aside for now. This is my starting line. Then I want the length of the dress to be 42 inches. At this line, I'm going to insert my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 17. 17 divided by 2 is 8.5 inches. Plus half an inch to join with the sleeve, it will be 9 inches. So at my starting line, I'm going to insert my shoulder measurement of 9 inches. This is 9 inches. I'll be using neck width of 3 inches. For the back, I'll be using neck depth of 1 inch. Then for the front, I'll be using neck depth of 3.5 inches. With my French curve, I'm going to curve the neckline. This is for my back. Then this is for my front. At the shoulder measurement, I'm going to measure 1 inch downward for my shoulder slope. I'm going to connect from the 1 inch to the neck width for my shoulder slope. From my shoulder slope, I'm going to measure my armhole depth of 9 inches. I'm going to also measure my shoulder measurements here to help me determine a straight line. This is my chest line. At the chest line, I'm going to insert my bust measurement. My bust is 44. 44 divided by 4 is 11 inches. I'll be needing 1 inch seam allowance to join the front and the back bodies together, which will be 12 inches. Shoulder to my under bust is 15.5 inches. At this line, I'm going to insert my waist measurement. My waist measurement is 40 inches. 40 inches divided by 4 is 10 inches. I'll be needing 1 inch seam allowance to join the front and the back bodies together, which will give me 11 inches. I know you'll be wondering why under bust measurement. I want my A-line shape to start from my under bust. There are different shapes of A-line dress. You can start your A-line dress from the bust. You can start your A-line dress from the under bust. You can start your A-line dress from the waist. You can start your A-line dress from the hip. But I want to start curving my A-line shape from my under bust for this particular dress. To determine the A-line shape at the down part, what I will simply do is to add 5 inches to my hip measurement. My hip measurement is 51 inches. 51 divided by 4 is 12¾ but I will just approximate it to be 13 inches. I'm going to add 5 inches to 13 inches, which will give me 18 inches. So at the down part of my dress, I'm going to measure 18 inches. So the next thing to do is to connect the lines together from my bust to the under bust, then from my under bust to the down part of my dress. Next is to move to the armhole area. I'm going to find the midpoint of my armhole depth, which is 9 inches. So the midpoint of 9 inches is 4.5 inches. For the front, I'm going to go in by 3/4 inch for my front armhole. With my straight ruler, I will connect from the shoulder slope to this point. Then from this point, I will join it to the bust. For the back armhole, from this midpoint, I will join it to the bust. You can use a French curve for yours. I can't really find where I kept my French curve. But if you are not good with freehand, please make sure that you use your French curve to curve the armhole area. So the next thing to do, I'm going to cut it out. Before I cut it out, the next thing to do is to add 1/2 inch at the shoulder to join the front bodies and the back bodies together. 1/2 inch. out, at the down part of my dress, I'm going to measure 2 inches. Then I'll curve it to this point. I want the side of the dress to be curvy a little. It always gives it a nice fitting. I'm cutting from the back leg line. The shoulder slope. Then I'm starting from this down part. I'm cutting the back armhole first. I'll open it up. I'll remove the back bodice. I'll put it aside. I'll fold it back and cut the front armhole and the front neckline. I'm cutting the front neckline. And the front armhole. From this neck depth for the front, I'm going to measure down 3 inches. Then from this part, I'm going to measure half an inch. I'm going to connect from the half an inch like a V to meet the 3 inches depth. Then I'll cut it out. Join the front and the back bodies together, making sure that the positive side facing each other. I'll take to my sewing machine. I'm going to join them at the shoulder with half an inch. I will join at the shoulder with half an inch. Then at the side, I'm going to join the side with 1 inch seam allowance that we left on it. I'll move to the other side. I'm going to join it with 1 inch seam allowance that we left on it. I've sewn it, as you can see. I sew half an inch at the shoulder. I sew the side seam and this other side as well. So the next thing to do is to turn my fabric to the positive side. Thing to do with my bias strip, I'm going to use it to tape this opening. I'll fold it like this. Then I'm going to sew it round. This is the satin fabric that I'll be using for the sleeve. It's unfold already, as you can see. The measurements that I have on fold is 22 inches. The length is 35.5. So I'm going to fold into two because I want to cut for the left and the right hand together. If you don't know how to draft your basic sleeve, you can watch my video on how to draft a basic sleeve. It is very simple. You know, for our normal basic sleeve, after drawing your curve, you will measure the sleeve opening and connect it to the sleeve opening. It's usually like this to your desired length, but in this case, I'm just going to cut it straight down. Then I'm going to cut a straight line, straight down. I'm going to notch the edge. Let me open it up for us to see. Determine how many puff you want for your sleeve, either 2 steps or 3 steps. I want mine to be 3 steps. At the beginning of my sleeve, I'm going to measure down 14 inches. I'm going to measure down another 7 inches for my second puff. For my third puff, I'm going to measure another 7 inches for my third puff. For my first puff, which is going to be 14 inches, I'm going to measure where 14 inches stops, which is here. I'm going to take my elastic I'll measure the circumference of it, not too tight. Then I'll cut it out. Then for the second one, which is 7 inches after, I'm going to measure somewhere here. Not too tight. Then I'm going to cut it out. Then for the third puff, I'm going to measure my wrist measurements. Not too tight. Then I will cut it out. What I'll do, I'll take to my sewing machine. I'm going to use pin to pin it down. Then I'm going to sew on this line. As I sew, I'll pull just like this. Then I'll move to the second line. I'll take my elastic. I'll use pin to hold it at this edge. As I sew, I'm going to pull it. Then for the third one, I will do the same thing. I will use pin to hold it at this edge. As I sew on the line, I'm going to pull the elastic. I've sewn it. As you can see, this is how the positive side will look like. So the next thing to do, I'm going to fold it into two, positive side facing each other. I'll take to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew 1/2 inch straight down. I will do same thing on the other sleeve, then I will attach it to the bodice. I've attached the sleeve to the dress, as you can see. I've already sewn the bias to the neckline. So the next thing to do, I'm going to measure the neckline. I'll fold it into two and measure what I have. I have 11 inches. I'm going to put this aside. I've already cut out a long strip that I'm going to attach to the neckline. The measurement that I have is 4 inches by 60 inches. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold the strip into two and notch the midpoint. I'm going to measure 11 inches tops here, and I will mark it on this other side as well. This is the positive side of the strip. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to fold it into two. This is the 11 inches we marked earlier. At one edge of the strip, I'm going to slant it. I'm going to sew 1/2 inch. I'll sew 1/2 inch from this edge. Then I'll continue, I'll sew 1/2 inch. I'll stop at this mark. I'll move to the other edge. I'll slant it. I'll do the same thing. I'm going to sew 1/2 inch like this. 1/2 inch. I'm going to stop here and I'll turn it to the positive side. I'm going to find the midpoint of the neckline at the back. This is the midpoint. I'm going to give it a notch. Then the next thing to do, I will take my band. I'll place this notch that will notch earlier. I'll place it on it like this. then I'll pin it. I'll take to my sewing machine. I'm going to sew half an inch round, then half an inch on this other side. I've sewn it around the neckline. The next thing to do, I'm going to fold it with half an inch and cover this seam we just sewn. I'm going to fold it like this. As you can see, then I'll sew on it. I'll use it to cover, I'll fold in half an inch. I'll use it to cover the seam we just sewn. Then I'm going to sew it round the neckline. This is the outcome of today's tutorial. As you can see, it is very easy to make and it is very comfy. If you find my tutorial helpful, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you've not done so, and also remember to click on the notification bell so that whenever I upload a new video, you will be notified. Until I come your way next, please stay safe and remain blessed. Bye.